Okay, so I'm going to bench sync these carbs and set the stop screw because I noticed that that was not correctly aligned. Got some new Allen screws and things for that. But what I've done here is I've taken bowls out already because I'm going to replace those fuel valves there when I get a chance. So we'll see what I can do in regards to the bench syncing. I got to turn them over for that. I think I'll put a couple of screws back in. There. So now I can turn them over. And I can get these tops off because I'm going to adjust this portion. So this paper clip is the right thickness for testing this out. And boy, it's close. Trick is getting that perfectly straight. Man, that one's definitely not up enough. Yep. I'll look on the other side here. Maybe you can get a chance to see what I see. And there is a little mark right there. And that is definitely too thin. So we'll loosen these lock nuts. They're 8mm. Which I have my 8mm somewhere, but we'll just get this other one. And so it's in there, right now it's in there snug, so I'm going to tilt it and then I'm going to loosen that until the clip falls out. There it was. Do it right there. Somebody's buggered with this one already, I can tell that. That looks good. looks good. So now I've got them all to this gap. That one's good. That's good. So that's now bench sunk. And I'm going to tighten back up these bolts now without changing the orientation that I just set them to. So that will be a little trickier. I've got a little screwdriver here that will help me with that. And then I'll come back and fine sync them at some point. And it moved a hair, so I'm going to move it back. Again, this doesn't require a lot of torque here. That'll be good. This one's nice and even. This one's nice and even too. These gaps one more time. But that should be sufficiently bench sunk, and it should clear this gap and just be a hair tight. Good. 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 That's good. There's a little demarcation in the... That one's good. Yeah. Yeah, you can see that little groove. That little teeny groove down in there. I don't know if you can see it with this camera or not, but there's a little groove in each piston, carb piston. So that's good and bench sunk. And now what I want to look at is when the throttle is full, it should come to a stop at the top of the... So really, right there is all that throttle needs to open. I don't need to go up and over. So when you look at then the stop, you can see I've got room to still pull the throttle, which is just over-richening. So what I want to do is get it right there And I'll adjust that stop a bit, because that's all you should pull the throttle. It's a little over rich, which I suppose could help in some ways, but I'm going to go by the book and follow it to the T. Never hurts anything to be right on the money. So now we'll check her again. And there now I'm a little tight. That one's not up all the way, that one's not up all, they're all just missing it by a hair. So let's screw it back a little bit. And now we're good. So now what I want to do is lock that sucker down. Without moving this stop screw. That's good. Let's double check it. The throttle gets fully opened, and it's good. And now it's stopping at that stop where it should. Throttle shouldn't get opened any more than that. Tomorrow what I'll be doing is getting these float valves out, and I'll have to measure them because the aftermarket ones that I have coming may be a slightly different size than what the stock one is, but I'll show you that just briefly. So we've got a main jet here, pilot jet, and that's all there is on these TK22 carbs. And when you pull out this pin that holds the float, you're able to see the needle and float valve fuel assembly, and that there is what I believe on this bike is what's causing my leak. And we'll see for sure, but I'll take one out just so you can see it if you haven't ever seen one before. So this here, and you can see, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, there's just some real irregular marks there, and these little suckers, you can see the groove. I don't know how well it's going to show up on this camera, but you can see the groove in there, and it's significant. I wouldn't say that it is the picture of bad in the manual, but also these little springs here, and one of them, I think number 2, does seem very, very weak. So we're going to replace this, and that's what's going to come out of there. So tomorrow when I get the replacement ones, I'll measure the height here, and there's some good instructions from folks who have done this before me on how to measure correctly and compensate for the differences in any new aftermarket seat and needle valve, and that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. So and then we'll do a clear tube test, which is simply to determine the float height, and you hook a clear piece of tubing here, when the carbs obviously have to be going the other way, pointing downward, but you measure against the body of the carb, and they should be within I think it was 2 to 2.5 to 4.5 millimeters below the bowl. So I'll make sure that the float heights are right before I put them back on the bike, but That's what we'll be doing tomorrow. And these tangs all look, I mean, this stuff all looks good here. I don't see any real significant issues with these floats. I'm just going to put them on temporarily, even though they're all coming off. I don't want to lose any parts, so we'll get them on and fight that fight tomorrow.